So, first semester at nursing school. Just a quick reminder, I'm in an accelerated program, so that means we conquer a lot of the content that most nursing schools conquer in a shorter amount of time. So in my first semester, I took Fundamentals of Nursing, Pathophysiology, Pharmacology, and Health Assessment. The only two classes that have labs were Health Assessment and Introduction to Nursing. Halfway through the semester, Introduction to Nursing was supposed to transfer to a clinical setting, but we'll get into that. Pathophysiology was what was said to be one of the harder classes of my semester. I actually really liked pathophysiology. I liked that it broke down the science of the body and how everything worked. It was very straightforward. So while it was a lot of content and it was hard, it was easier to understand and conceptualize because you could more memorize the information. So I would go to lecture every week, take notes on the content, then I would review practice questions, and I would retake the notes as a way of learning because I learn very much from writing things down a few times. I'm also a visual learner, so I did benefit from drawing body systems with this class, and I would draw the body systems and take specific notes on the disease processes we studied because that played into the quizzes that we had. So I did very well in pathophysiology. I got an A in that class, and I succeeded, and it was one of the harder classes, so I was very proud of myself. The hardest class of the semester from previous semesters was supposed to be pharmacology. The way that our pharmacology class was structured was a little haphazard. Our professor ended up making a lot of our quizzes online and take-home quizzes because we missed a lot of days due to weather. This semester took place in the winter time, so we missed a lot of days due to weather. We missed a few days due to a couple of meetings we had as a college. So a lot of our quizzes were take-home, and that made it a lot easier to study for them because with take-home quizzes, you can kind of work as a group and kind of use your resources, one should say. Although this is not the ideal because with the NCLEX, you're not going to be able to use your resources. Our professor knew that making it a take-home quiz was going to kind of make it open note. So he was open to that, and he put that in the instructions that we could work with fellow peers and we could use our resources. So pharmacology, yes, it was hard. I benefited from using the Davis drug guide specifically. I also benefited from making study guides for exams. So I would group drugs based on their class, and then I would divide them up specifically based on each drug themselves. And doing so allowed me to understand the classes of drugs as a group and then each drug specifically. So when I took exams, it was easier to apply that information. Pharmacology, again, I got an A. I really enjoyed the class. I think I learned a lot. However, because a lot was take home, I think I could have learned more, potentially if it was in class and I was forced to take the exams solely by myself. So I continue to study pharmacology on a daily basis because I know that will appear on the NCLEX. My third class was health assessment. This was by far my favorite class of the semester. A lot of people would write this off as an easy A, but by no means was it an easy A. The only reason I got an A in this class was because I had a great instructor. My professor was phenomenal. Not only did she give examples of how health assessment should take place, she gave examples of abnormal health assessments, and she worked on a mannequin in front of us and showed us how those things would work in clinical practice. Not only did I have this professor for class, I also had her for lab. So in lab, she would reinforce those teaching ideals that she had discussed in class and allow us to practice them ourselves. This was highly beneficial. I have used all the information I learned in health assessment in my second semester of nursing school, and I think that I will definitely use it in nursing practice. It's been highly beneficial, and it was by far my favorite class the first semester, and I think I learned the most from this class. And my fourth and final class, Introduction to Nursing. This should have been my favorite class. This should have been the easy A. The content covered was not hard. It was all practical knowledge. We practiced it in clinical every week. Or in clinical lab, I should say. We were supposed to practice it in clinical, but that got transitioned to online. However, the teacher, words cannot describe her. I wish that I could put into words how inconsistent this teacher was. I should not be getting an A in pathophysiology and pharmacology and be struggling to pull grades in Introduction to Nursing. All the concepts talked about in those other classes are implemented in Introduction to Nursing. It should be easy. And I had hospital experience, so Introduction to Nursing should make sense to me. However, the teacher I had for this course was very inconsistent in her lecture, very inconsistent in her exams, and she graded those exams in a biased manner. She would grade every exam differently based on the student, which I don't think is ethical or logical, but we can't really argue with her because she's always right. So that was my biggest struggle with fundamentals to nursing. It wasn't the content, because I have applied that content in the next semester and in other classes. It was definitely the instructor, and that's something with nursing school that you can't control. You can go to a great school. I go to a highly reputable school, and you can go to a school with great professors, but you can't control every professor, and I had one who sucked. So it was definitely really, really hard, and I ended up passing, believe it or not, because I moved on to second semester, but it was a struggle. The biggest thing about this class that I did like was that it did have a lab. So for the first part of the semester, we went to lab, and this was where the mannequins were, and we would go ahead and we would practice our skills on these mannequins, Foley placements, in G-tube placements, IV placements, safety measures, basically anything you would do with a patient, we practiced on these mannequins, which was highly beneficial to my practicing skills and something that I wanted to be sure of before I went into the hospital space. We were supposed to go into the hospitals halfway through the semester, and we did have an orientation day at our hospitals. We went to the hospitals, we orientated on our floors, we met with our clinical instructors, and we had a conversation about what clinical experience was going to look like for us. We went back to campus, we orientated to EPIC, which is our electronic health record system, and we sat down to have a conversation about what clinicals looked like this week and what they would look like in the future. During that conversation, our staff were alerted that we were going to be moving to an online learning environment due to coronavirus. While this has been a process, is all I can say for our school, it's been really detrimental to my learning process. It's harder to go to class, and I don't get clinicals. We do virtual clinicals, which is a whole other experience I'll do a whole other video on, because it really is a process. But I've only stepped foot into a hospital at work prior to nursing school where I didn't have patient contact, or once during nursing school where I was orientating and didn't talk to a single patient. So when we actually get in the hospitals, it's going to be a very different experience for both myself and other nursing students going to nursing school during this whole coronavirus pandemic. So we all passed first semester. My whole cohort, my whole group of students passed first semester, which is a big feat. We all passed our classes. We got the good enough scores on our ATI exams to proceed based on our college's standards specifically. But we've transitioned to an online environment, which is very stressful, and I can make a whole video on online learning in nursing school and what that looks like. But it's really not a whole lot of learning. It's a lot of sitting around and not doing much and getting assignments that really don't test my knowledge. They test my skills with the Google. So it's definitely been an adjustment, and I've been gone because it's been an adjustment. So I'll keep updating you guys and letting you know what this process looks like. I hope to see you later. Feel free to subscribe if you want. Talk to you later. Bye.